color world of Scholten Baijings. I'm pleased to introduce you to our special guest. He is a co-founder of Scholten Baijings, the color-driven design company that works in the studio methods. With his wife and his team, he would mix his own color, create his own materials, and make number of models to study proportions and feasible production. His works are known for their unique sets of colors and the design process. And we are lucky to have him here today to share with us the story behind his new ceramic collection. Please welcome Mr.Stefan Scholten.
Hello, everyone. Let's start with this image. Hello, my name is Stefan Scholten. You all hear me very well? Yes, I can talk in English, I hope, because my language is not so good that I stick to the English. So, thank you so much for inviting me here at the Design Center. It's a great opportunity to tell the story. Also, Shane from Central Embassy, where we have a beautiful presentation at open house at hardcover bookstore. Please have a visit there. I would like to spend around 40 minutes explaining the way we work, a little bit about my background, and a project we do here in Asia, focused on Japan. So the reason why I'm here is because we work for this company called Meharim. And Meharim is a textile company based in New York. I will tell you a little bit more about it, but this is how their showroom look like, and I think it's amazing. This is their office. So, before I start explaining about my work, I like to tell that I work with my wife. It's Scholten Baijings, and our studio name is called Scholten Baijings. So I can imagine it's very difficult to pronounce, so I settle with Scholten Baijings. I'm okay with that. Or Stefan and Carol is also good for me. I finished my study in 1905, and I started directly in my own design studio, and Carol joined later in 2000. So we work now together more than 18 years. So imagine working with your wife and also a team 24 hours a day for 18 years. And I think even today, when I see her image, it's still going very strong, because we travel a lot, we meet interesting people, different cultures, that makes our life very special and unique. Today, we started out in an old train station among the railway from Amsterdam, and then we moved to an old garage, also in Amsterdam, very dark, no windows, and this is our latest studio. We are very lucky. We are in an old pump station in the center of Amsterdam, right next to the Rijksmuseum. And the building is from 1925, consists of 4 buildings in total. And the middle one, that's our studio. And it has a garden of 650 square meters in the city center of Amsterdam. This is where we work. We just moved in, so the garden is designed by Piet Oudolf. Maybe you know Piet Oudolf. He's well known from the High Line in New York. And we asked him to make a plan for this building. And, you know, I can imagine, Holland is maybe well known for you, maybe for the drugs policy we have here in Holland, or maybe the painters Van Gogh or Rembrandt, or the architects Rietveld, or but we were also well known for Dutch design, which I tell you a little bit later more about. But one of the recognizable design features of this particular architecture is called the School of Amsterdam, which is very special shapes and then horizontal lines and then a lot of detail. So it's from the 1925. Also a well-known architect called Berlage designed this whole area. We have also a small shop. I think it's the smallest shop in Amsterdam. It's 11 square meter. But it's actually our window to the street because the whole premises is surrounded with wall. So this is sort of the, so to speak, our window, our étalage. We show the projects we do all over the world, and people can buy products there. And it's getting better and better. And it's nice to meet your clients, your public, in real life. So we don't have the door open. You have to ring. But sometimes I'm opening myself or Carol or one of the studio members. And then, sometimes you get nice clients. People asking, what's the price? Or you get complaints that people say, okay, this dish towel is not doing its function. I want a new one. Okay, so you have a good connection with your clients, very important for us. This is the guest house. We have also a guest house for international clients, but we also use it as a showroom to display our products. So you see our products for Moroso and carpets for Hay, textile we did for Maharm, lights for Moy. We can change it. Also a kitchen where we can cook for guests, and we can show all the materials we have designed. This is the place where we have lunch or we organize dinners. And this is the can you see this picture? I hope you can. It's like the garden design by Piet Oudolf. He's a very particular designer, so this is how he creates like his floor plan, and every I have a pointer actually, so I can use that one. Here, there. All the symbols are referring to plants, but this in itself is such a beautiful drawing that we have a frame around it because it's very unique. So what I like about it is that the design process is not only about the end result, but that every step in the process is important for the design. So we always say in our studio that every step is a design work in itself. No matter you make a sketch, a model, a prototype, or an end product, every single step should be a unique and a design made with love. And he understood that really well because this beautiful drawing shows that. This is, so you saw the garden in the beginning. This is now, last summer. Since we are in the middle of Amsterdam, it's and we're having this huge garden. It's a little bit strange that we have it actually, because it's not normal. The average garden in Amsterdam is like 12 square meter, and this one is 650. But it comes with a monument. So we wanted to do something back. I don't know why, but we feel a little bit guilty with this garden. So what we do is we organize exhibitions about design art, and then for outdoor, because there are a lot of design exhibitions in Holland, but not like outdoor design exhibitions. So I think we are unique, because our neighbor is the Rijksmuseum, and they organize art exhibitions in their garden. So it was also for us new, because we started to invite colleague designers, so as Richard Hutte, Studio Job, Joep van Lieshout, colleagues which you would never invite in your own garden if you don't have a project. So also for us, this is a nice new project. So as Scholten and Baijings, we started working with several companies. These are a few we work with, but this is a marble company in Pietrasanta in Italy, Forte di Marmi. It's called Hanro. It's one of the oldest quarries of the world, actually. They also create like the buste for Napoleon in this quarry. We work for international companies, so also for Sèvres, and Sèvres is a French manufacturer for porcelain. Or for the Danish brand Hey, probably you know this brand. It's a very it's getting more known in Asia as we speak, actually. It's the Danish design brand competing between IKEA and Vitra, sort of aiming for this new generation. And also, we did a ceramic project in Narita, Japan, where we created this collection together with our colleague. But I think what I want to show with these 4 pictures is that we are lucky that we can travel. I'm lucky that I'm standing here tonight today and meet all these nice people. And if you are a designer, here today, I would recommend to make your life or your design work that you can travel, because of the travel you get the inspirations and the new ideas. Also meeting new cultures. It makes my work fantastic. I want to show a small movie made by Herman Miller. And I think it's perfectly showing the method we are working. We call it the atelier way of working, or the studio method of working. And these are, in movie style, an explanation. Oh, that's not this movie, sorry. I go back, because I don't like that. This is a movie about Arita, because we were talking about different cultures. That's the reason why we showed this one. It's the last project you saw, the ceramics, that one is created in Arita, and this is the movie about this project. Sorry, guys. So it's a shorter version. There's also a long version on the internet if you want to see more about this project. Arita has a connection with Holland for 400 years. The VOC ships to Arita to collect the porcelain, and they were the only country who were able to do trade with the Japanese. So that was a unique situation. So this project was in the celebration of the 400 years history. So 1616, 2016, we did a 400 year celebration project. I mean, I can imagine, probably you know Dutch design. But when I was graduating in studying in 1991, my professor was Gijs Bakker. And Gijs Bakker was founder of Droog Design. Probably it's called Droog Design, but you probably know it as Droog Design. And as a Droog designer, you had 2 options. Because Gijs Bakker was my a professor, you had two options. You become a droog designer or you become a droog designer. So you had no choice. And droog design is all about conceptual thinking. So it was a contra-industrial design period. So concept above everything. So no function. Function was important, but not so important. Only the concept. And that was a very strong period from 1990 till 2000 maybe. I think that were the heydays of droog design. But as a young designer, I was not a droog designer. So what to do? I started my own course. So we started investing new techniques, hands-on working, creating our own colors. And that's how we start to create our own identity. So actually, I need to thank Gijs Bakker, because if he wouldn't have given me this non-choice at that time, I probably would follow or would left to school. And just by finding my own way, I find my own course. So also for designers here in the public, please remember that it takes a time to develop yourself as a designer. It takes years, actually, and be patient. We work with, based on intuition, actually. We do a lot of in stomach feeling. We think a color or a material is interesting, and we start to doing research. But we need some construction to also to explain to our studio members where we stand for, because we work with a team of 13 people. So we need sometimes to explain how we work. So we use the 10 bullets. I don't explain all 10, I only explain 8. But the 10 bullets are there to memorize what's for us important as a designer. So probably your 10 bullets or your 10 commandments would be totally different. But these are ours, and I would go through all the bullets with projects. So one is to create your own colors. It's important for us. Use constructive thinking. Be authentic, be critical, being Dutch, upcycle and stay persistent, and be proactive. So because of our work, we can travel, and we meet all kinds of interesting people. And I think that's the most important part of our work, because we met craftsmen from all over the world, or visionaries here in Thailand or in Korea or in Japan. We work with a team, with people, and by meeting all these different cultures, we get inspired and we create new materials. This is our studio in Amsterdam, where we, as you see, make all the models by hand. There's always tables filled with materials, filled with samples. We always say, get all the material out of the computer, because in the computer, it's not a very creative environment. We just use the computer as a tool and not as a creative process. So create your own colors. This is a project we did for Sèvres. Sèvres is based in Paris. It's in a small outer area of Paris, where they create porcelain for the high society. So castles and land houses were filled with this kind of porcelain. As you can see, the porcelain is very dated. It's from a certain period. But this period is still popular. There are still requests for this porcelain. But they ask us, as many companies, they ask us to find a new route, a new way of thinking. So we start a color research. And remember, with Sèvres, everything is handmade. So also this tablet is hand-painted. It's 2 months' work. You wouldn't tell, but every line is placed by hand. It's masked, but anyway, it's like paint by hand. And the idea is that we, with the existing color palette, we did a color study to see what happened if you mix colors. They did it before, but they didn't do the overlay in colors. So overlay is that you really cross two colors. And it's amazing, right, that this company is like so old and they never did this kind of research. So as a designer, we were surprised, and this came out. Some crossovers really don't work. I mean, it can be the image, but you don't see anything here happening. But some are really coming up with new color solutions where they mix. So in the end, we had used their own shapes. These are faces from Sèvres, which we stripped from every ornament or every detail. We just used the contour, and then we were able to apply all the color research on the face. And as you see, it's at the same time a decoration, and at the same time it's a color study in one object. And these are different designs. So constructive thinking is the third part, which is, or the second, sorry. We start out working for a textile company called Maharam, which I showed you in the first image. And then we went to start working with Herman Miller. And Herman Miller and Maharam are connected to each other. And for us, it was a very open brief to start working for them. And we started out from the textile. So we were invited to design a sofa. And instead of like thinking of shape, we started thinking of textile and how to almost like drape the textile as a blanket around the sofa. So what you see is a framework where the textile is like draped over the frame and put on tension. As you know, Herman, I'm not sure if there's a store here in Bangkok, but Herman Miller is well known for the Vitra furniture, the Charles and Ray Eames furniture, and the Nelson, and so it was. We were very proud to have this edition. We call it the Colorform Sofa Group, which can be added as a system in different types. But it's very nice if you can combine different works from different projects. That's what we like. So in our studio, we use techniques which we already researched and then bring to another client. We call that recycling of ideas. Herman Miller made a movie about our work. That was the movie I wanted to start with. But this is explaining exactly how we work, so it goes a little bit more into the detail. So remember, for us, it's important to call it the atelier way of working, so like an artist. But you can also say studio way of working. But we know we have a public. So the necessity, we like to work as an artist, but there's also a public necessity. Someone in the end has to use your product.
We see all these products that are made over time that are cherished now because they have this personal handwriting. I think that's our challenge as designers.
We always start with a blank page. Once you draw the first line, you know you will start like this process, which takes maybe 3 years or 4 years before it's ending. You should forget all that to be very creative and very open. Color is the starting point of our design process. You need to apply color, of course. So the more minimalistic the canvas is, the better.
We always try to have this balance in colors with a little bit of an edge, so people have to get used to it. We're always trying to push these boundaries.
The color range we try to achieve with the material is based on study. I think it has also to do that we are husband and wife. By creating together, the designs get more unique. And I think that's the combination which makes our relationship very strong.
It's a way of working almost like an artist or a sculptor that we also do in our practice. So we make our own materials and we make our own colors and we make our own models, and by doing so, we get this layering, and it will, we hope, provide this quality to a product.
Yeah, model making is very important. Instead of going from A to B as quick as possible in the design process, the model helps us to find new shapes, new possibilities. If you create a model with your own hands, you see the difficulties, and sometimes you see new solutions which you never could find on paper.
Our inspiration comes from our life as designers. We travel a lot, we'll work in all these different cultures. But especially nature is providing us so many details. Because if you look, for example, to flowers, even though they're the brightest flowers, they're always perfect in balance. And this perfection in color and shape is what we really love and what we also like to achieve in our work. I'm Scholten Baijings.
My name is Stefan Scholten.
And we work together as Scholten and Baijings Studio for Design.
Yeah, that gives you a little bit more insight how we work. This Urian boy, this director of this movie is great. If you saw the details in the lens, I was even surprised how we managed that. One of our bullets is be authentic, and I think it's super important for a designer to be authentic. What's authentic? I mean, I had professors who said everything is already done, and I think that's sort of true. I mean, all the designs you can imagine are already sometimes designed. But I think you can be innovative with materials or colors or techniques. There are so many ways to make yourself authentic. I think this was our first authentic design because we were weaving a color gradient, which was actually the purpose of making a very fluent gradient in textile, not this stripy thing you see here behind. And then we thought our project in the Textile Museum in Holland was a failure. And we never used the textile pieces because we thought it was a failure. And then we had a party at home, and then we put all the blankets on our bed to cover the bed so we had more space for the people as guests. And then everyone was really spontaneous and said, wow, this is nice color schemes. And then suddenly we realized that this project was not a failure, but actually a starting point for our design, because I think when you leave room open or area open for mistakes, you can find the other authentic solutions instead of sticking to your master plan and just be focused on the end product. So this textile, so actually what you see is a computer error made by the weaving machine, because he wasn't able to weave a very gradient, very fluent gradient. But this beautiful color errors, and for us the sparkling of working with color in general, because this was the project that we thought, okay, now we start focusing on color, is still one of our bestseller products today. This is now sold by Hay in Denmark. Also, crafts is important for us. So this is a project which we did with Thomas Eijk, where we applied color, fluorescent color. And why we used fluorescent color on willow. Willow is this brown basque, which you also use, I think, a lot here in Thailand to weave baskets. And we have had this weaving project where we immediately had this thing with old baskets. You know, weaving is beautiful, but it reminds of the old days. So we adding fluorescent inks, which were available at that time to apply on wicker. And that was the first moment when we started like combining craft and bright colors to bring the technique to a new stage in time, a new, more contemporary look, so to speak. We use colors in a lot of products, so this is the product we did for Karimoko, Japan, where they spray paint the color and then remove it again. With this kind of innovations, color as a detail, we try to make the product more detailed, and we think the product, for that reason, become more visual, durable. Or we use color in glass. Color is for us also always a starting point. We never start with a design and then think, oh, hey, let's pick a color. No, we start thinking in color. So these are gradients which are blown in glass. It's not like a spray paint, or it's double glass, transparent, and a color. And this craftsman of Czech Republic, that's in the east of Europe, they know exactly how much glass they need to blow in a mold to create this gradient. Looks very simple. It's impossible to make anywhere else than in Czech Republic. These are the plates again. And from the textile plates, we started to collaborate with Meharam. And you know, this is fantastic because Meharam allows us to do our own identity, but still in a mass-produced environment. And I think that's great, because how many companies are there who respect the identity of a designer? Because you know, mass production is all about, or mass design is all about as minimal as possible, because you need to apply to the many people. But it's also possible with an identity and with a recognizable design, because this textile is also mass-produced. And here you see the textile in use. And again, also for textile design, we started with just like printing on paper, very simple techniques, making models out of paper, wood. Okay, we do 3D printing as well now, but basically what we can print on paper, we print on paper, because you have immediately a 3D image in front of you, which makes to help to understand your design. And also the use of fluorescent colors is unique in a textile, because this can be used in daylight situations, so the colors won't fade. So the innovation of color is super important for us. It's not just applying the color, but trying to get the color in the industry is one of the most difficult parts. If there are designers among you who work with color, then you know how difficult that is, because you know, not Ford, the car company, has not for one reason, only one sentence. You can choose any color as long as it's black, and that was his phrase for mass production. Because if you apply many colors, you make the system very complex. So most design companies or most producers are really afraid of color. Not this company.